So I think it's all right. Like, we just got to be kind of mindful. Like, I wouldn't read too much into anything today. Just go and trade. If you see hot setups, just take them. Like if you see a hot setup, just take them, but don't worry too much about, anything else. So let's go into the watch list. There's a couple things to just be mindful of, the last couple days that we're seeing. Number one, China stocks have been running really hot. So, you really want to have like a nice solid list of Chinese names. Baidu is, obviously the big winner yesterday. Whether we get a day 2 on this, I don't know. We've had like 1, 2, 3. Yesterday was like the first day of the breakout. We're already at the top of the Bollinger Band, and we kind of had like a couple up days before that. So we've already, the move started like at 190. So we can have some upside, but I don't think today will be like yesterday where you just get like this monster shredder. More likely we'll have a lot of range, and we'll have, the ability to catch a few points here or there, but we won't get, an all-day trender on it, which is totally fine, right? You just need a few points here or there to kind of get these things going. But if you really look at, like, the rest of the Chinese names, there's a lot of them that are just busting out. Like this Billy, you came off its 90 EMA and had, like, a big push. JD was really strong the last couple days, and you're seeing a little bit of weakness in the Chinese names already. But JD had like a really big, like, these are like probably stocks that are gonna be breaking out any day. Like even this Futu finally like started to come out of range. This thing has been consolidating for like since November, right? So you got November like 28th. It's been consolidating for a good month. Just started to come out of range. Like this is another one that like when it wants to go, when it's a dud, it's a dud. And then when it wants to go, it can really heat up. So like you really want to, have a few of these Chinese names. PDD is another one. But PDD might be a little bit extended. If you like a little of a cheaper name, this looks like probably more of a swing stock, but it had good enough range yesterday. This VIPS has been, this VIPS is coming out of like a flag pattern over here. And you had a nice kind of like 8-9% push yesterday. You get a little bit of weakness on this, but if you look at its daily chart, this is like its weekly chart here. You're really clearing levels from like 2016, and you got probably like an imminent, it's got still some work to do before it takes out its IPO highs, but you really want to keep an alert here. In general, when you take out those IPO highs, like you can really, that goes back from 2014, you can really start cooking. So I think like VIX is something that you can put on your watch list too, especially if you like a little bit of a cheaper stock. Sometimes like stocks like Baidu are a little intimidating because they just run around so crazy. All those Chinese names, keep them on the watch list for today. If anybody's brand new, in a hot market, you just tend to have really longer watch lists. So just be mindful. Write these things down and put them into your broker. Make sure you have one chart up for like each one of the stocks we talk about, and that'll kind of keep you organized so you can come in and on a different monitor or something, start adding the rest of your stocks that you may that we talk about. That way you can kind of just keep track of these bad boys, and we'll get these things going. So we got the Chinese names. Now a couple that are not extended. We had kind of a flat day on XPEV yesterday, and a flat day, slight update, flat day, and LI yesterday. These are probably, they have a chance if they can remount these MAs. A lot of times, like, you may look at something like this and think bear flag, but it's actually technically probably not a bear flag. But like a lot of times, if you're really short-term focused, you'd see this and then a pop into MA and come in with the, bear flag. And it's not either or yet. We really have to see, like, does it push over this or start coming back under? And one of the reasons I think they may have a chance is this NIO, which tends to lead the way on the the Chinese EV companies. This one has held its 50 SMA and its trend is intact, right? So if this one starts to push, then you'll start to see the rest of them really start to cook and book and get these things going. So I keep XPEV, NIO, LI also on your watch list. That'll give us a kind of a good base of like a few Chinese stocks to watch. You have like more of the internet provider types, PDD, Baidu, so on and so forth. And then you'll have a couple of these, automakers. And, if you need like a spec name, this is specky. It's a little bit light on liquidity. It had a couple million shares yesterday. But this like Chindad, I'm assuming that's a Chinese name. This thing looks like it wants to bust loose here. It does trade a little bit thin, so it's probably not going to be like anything that is, anything that's like too juicy on my end. Good. Now let's take a look at solar. So ENPH is getting added to the S&P 500. Doesn't say when, but it doesn't matter. Sometimes just the news of it might just get this thing going. This has been a real hot stock for the last. Gosh, you remember that when this thing was like $2, $5? That was just 2019. You can see this thing. It was like $2, 50 cents. That's the run of runs on stocks. Sometimes, we always look at. It's a lot easier for some of these like kind of more mid-cap names start to go. I think we add ENPH onto the watch list. Even like SPWR is sitting on some big support here. So if the solars want to get picked back up, we do see like a nice kind of easy. We got a nice easy location on these where we might be able to, get some shreds if they start to go. We don't necessarily know, but like we've got a good location on these. I want you to add FEYE to the watch list too. This was like a huge heater. It went from like 13 to 25. You're starting to consolidate over here. If you actually look at this one, you've got a big time breakout on the weekly chart. So if you go back on the weekly, this is going back from 2016. Like that's got a nice level over here. Like I think this one, this might be one of the plays for 2021, like one of those rip and ride, slip and slide type of plays. This is a cyber play. Cyber stocks have been hot this year. This company is probably a huge turd because it's like the only cyber stock that ever stayed this cheap. So you know what happens in this market. If you're the biggest turd in the group, you probably are going to run the most, right? If you see like what its friends are doing, right? This like they all kind of came out similar times. This cyber is big time breakout. Crowd, right? Big time breakout. These are busting out the IPO highs. Now is FEY going to get that high? No, its float is like a lot thicker than those. But you do have like this big kind of range happening here. This might even be something you kind of tuck into, your IRA or something like that, and see what you can get out of it. If any of you guys remember from back in the day when we were trading this, we had like this epic run for like a month trading this, where it went from $30 to $100, and we were just like shredding it nonstop. And then, then obviously the cat came out of the bag. But now you got a 5-year breakout. That to me is hot. And the chart here is starting to set up. It seems like it's holding this 21, 22 pretty well. Any kind of dips down. So look, it's not that tight yet. But, in terms of the level of breakout, it's been fairly orderly. Any kind of intraday dips on this thing, watch and see how it absorbs around 21, 80, 22, all of that kind of stuff. I think this one will have a chance also. Now, this is not a high priority on the day trade side because to me, it feels more swingy than day trading, but it does have enough range it has enough range, $2 out of 23 still. It does have enough range to trade, but it's not, I would say, priority. Yes! Fucking lemonade. Oh, yes. That's awesome. Lemonade was pushing, and it looks like Lemonade reaches 1 million. They got 1 million customers? That's not so bad. That sounds like a nice number, huh? This is a hot growth stock, I think, all pullbacks on this one for this next year. Man, if we ever get, any pullbacks towards 100 spot and stuff, I think it's going to be, a, kind of a longer term play. It's still got a really low market cap, about $6 billion, give or take. And the float on this is tiny. I'm sure they'll have some monster cock lockup at some point. But for now, it's been trading. Yeah, let's see if this thing holds back. It may dip off a little bit, but we'll get a chance at it. Cool. Peloton is something we can keep trading to. This is on our daily watch list, right? So, it's never not on our watch list. It's a daily trader for us at this point till this trend is broken. Yeah, overall, though, you got a big push, pull back into the 9. You got a green candle to hold yesterday. I think you're going to have a shot at this. This is the big growth stock of 2020 also. Now, there will be we'll need to keep out for signs for new ones in, 2021. It's rare that you keep hammering on the same stock, 2 years in a row. Sometimes, they come in, and you'll see this a lot where, you get, a stock, it has, a hot run for a long time. And then, right, see, and then it has to base out for, a fucking year, right? You'll see that a lot in stocks, where they go, bajonkers, and they're up, 100, 200%. And then they just spend, a whole year just teasing you, where you think, okay, here we go. And then it just never happens till it's just kind of absorbs, all of this kind of juice. So, Peloton, I think we got a little bit more time to play around with this, but it may not be necessarily the big heater of next year. We'll have to find the big heater of next year. Hey, if any guys like, little small cap swings or anything like that, there's a lot of silver stocks that are starting to set up over here. There's a whole host of, silver. All these little silver stocks are going. I think Metin mentioned it, a couple days ago. You got HL and SILV, and for me, I'm looking at silver futures. If they start to really cook, sometimes what happens is the stocks will lead the way in terms of the price. And so you start to see, if you look at the actual spot silver, the ETF, it's starting to test the top of the range. But the individual silver stocks are starting to, really bust loose. So I think, you can, I think you should add a couple of those to maybe some longer term lists. I'm looking at adding a couple into my IRA and stuff. You don't want to I don't want to day trade these turds, but you've got a setup happening. Commodities are hot, right, with all the printing and everything else that's been going on. You're starting to see a broad based run in commodities. Even oil's been moving this year. So you definitely, if you got some longer term accounts, you want to probably add some silver exposure. I'm adding a couple of these swings the last couple days into some of these bad boys. But I think something like this is probably going to have some juice. It's a little bit of a grinder. It's something, you're not going to rip 50% a day like some of these small caps. It's something, you put in with a, $1.50 stop loss, and it, it hits $15, $16, $17 in a month or two, and you're pretty happy about it. But just something to kind of be mindful of. Gato. ¿Qué pasa, gato? What does gato mean? Cat. Gato. This is a hot little IPO stock. I'm not really that interested in it. Armand, I'm interested in everything but nothing all at once. All right, let's go into just some of the faves, though. Let's kind of refocus our list just a tad here. Right. We got Laser. Laser's coming out of a nice zone over here. It pushed into 38 after hours. It's dipping back a little bit, but I think, you're just retesting down on the trend line over here. That's going to be good. I want Lasers number one. I want XL for bounce. When this thing started to pump, Kramer pumped this bad boy, and then Citron came in that day. they started that move kind of like right around 2021. We're starting to get back into that zone. I think it might be one more dump, but it could start the round here. You're already starting to see it even out. I think that this will be, potential bounce opportunity. Number 2, Fubo is just a bleeder at this point. It's either going to be 25 or it may be the 30 spot. But I think we're getting down. We've got like 6, 7 big down days now. We'll try a bounce if we see it. I wouldn't focus on this one. It trades very herky-jerky. I mean, you can do it, but you got to be like super nimble. It really just depends on if you're like brand new, then it's not gonna. This is not something for you. Like, so there's new traders and there's people that can really trade. Like there's been trades in this. Like where it'll pop like $1 or $2 and you got to get out, right? And so like it's not an easy, bounce trading is never easy, but it's the hardest thing to do. Easy trading is trend trading because like you could just throw some shit at a wall and you throw enough shit in it, things will work out. But bounce trading, counter trend trading is very, very tricky. This is a straight crash mode. Now, will we get a bounce out of it? Yeah, we're going to get a bounce out of it at some point. It's just a matter of when and how and, all those kind of things. It's going to be... It's on the watch list. I know we're going to get a heater out of this, whether it's today or on Monday. It's a matter of how much stress is that trade going to be? How much stress is that trade gonna be? So I think we add it, but like this, I wouldn't make this like your, like biggest priority just because it's gonna be a little bit tricky. Now let's say come in, so JMIA is still pretty good. This is a daily trader first at this point. You held this is like a perfect trend trade. So you pull back to the 49. Pop in to the 20 SMA, remount the 9. Like this one's a heater. This one's got a heater. So that's something that we trade every day, though. It's not necessarily going to be, like some new setup. This is a daily trader first, but it is in a bounce mode. And I think this MP, this is a rare earth stock. Commodities have been cruising. This is a rare earth stock and it's a SPAC. You went from 40 down to 28. You're remounting the 9. Like that one looks like it's pretty. That one's going to be pretty juicy too. Kind of looks like a little bit of a swing trade. Be mindful of how many swing trades you add in towards the new year. We don't really know on January 1st or whenever this market opens, like what exactly is going to be, the, the climate of how stocks are, in 2021. Most of the time we had 2 really big years, at least in tech. So, is there going to be any kind of rotation? Who knows, right? FCX had a nice kind of flag break yesterday. This is probably something, too, that you would put on a longer-term account. You got a nice range break here that's been like a month. Like I think that one's going to have a chance too. This is more of a swing stock though. It's got a huge float, 1.4 billion shares. So it's not really like, it's not a priority on the day trade side, but I do think it's a swing. There's a lot of these stocks that are doing this. See this Etsy? This is a hot stock of this year. Pulled back to the 20, remount the 9. Like that's a classic swing setup. When you when you have a huge breakout, pull back to 20, remount the 9 EMA. That's a classic like swing setup, something you can hold for 4 or 5, 6 days, things of that nature. We're gonna have some fun today, but I anticipate that things are gonna be like we're gonna get maybe like 2 hours of shred, and then we'll see what's up. Moral of the story, all right? So there's themes. You've got the Chinese stocks, if they start running again, it looks like they're weak pre-market. All right, we got Fubo XL for potential bounces. You got a couple of these commodity stocks like MP, and then we got Laser too, and we're good to go. Solars are always on the list. Peloton, LMND are daily traders. Those are income trades. Right? So you want to always split up your watch list into different things. What are your swings? What are your income trades? Income trades are like stuff that you just trade every day. What are hot setups that are just starting to move? And then, right, you got your daily go-tos. That's the list, guys. I'm sticking to it. Don't screw up on the last day of the year. You know how many times I've seen people come in too hot on the day before Christmas or the last day of the year and they totally just screw something up? This Excel's already starting to push, right? So this could be probably top of the list for us on the bounce side. Good. Let's go do what we do. All right. Peace. Happy New Year, people.